When I talk about repairing your marriage after cheating, I'm talking about repairing your marriage after an affair, and the person who had the affair is not a serial cheater. And I repeat, not a serial cheater. Serial cheaters are very different from regular cheating. When you have an affair, basically you feel remorse about it. You feel badly. You swear you will never do it again. You will never repeat this same pattern. You will never hurt your partner like this. But this is untrue for a serial cheater. A serial cheater intends to cheat even on their wedding day. When they say I do to their future bride or groom, in their mind, they already have their sights and their intention set to cheat. This is how they live. There's something broken. For sure, integrity is not part of their genetic makeup, but they are intentional cheaters. Now, how do you know if you have one, or what does it look like? Okay, so the first thing that I want to share is they always intend to cheat, as I already talked about. And the facts are, not all of them are equal. So some are very good at getting, different people to respond, and they can cheat. In other words, they're very gifted with charm and rhetoric and what to say. Others not so much. So one of the facts is they'll go anywhere to find a hookup. They'll go to weddings, they'll go to funerals, they'll go online, and there's so many online that I can't even tell you. I could read profiles and pick them out. Anywhere there's possible people to pick up, they will try it. And certain websites like Ashley Madison have made it easier for people who are serial cheaters to continue to cheat. And the thing that fuels a serial cheater is that they have no remorse. They don't think of cheating as hurting a person. They don't think of it as betrayal. They think of it as conquest. And the way they win, or what gives them the fuel to continue, is that they were able to get a person. And they'll do this, this is how they live. Basically, their whole life is built around being able to score with another person. So knowing these facts up front, it's important you ask yourself, okay, am I with one? And if I am with one, if I've fallen in love with them, is there any hope that they could be married? My best advice would be, there is only hope if that person wants to change. And that's fairly rare. If I see them in therapy and they're ready to change, it's usually because they've gotten older, they've gotten wiser, they've destroyed their life, and they're basically alone and miserable. And lastly, and this only happens once in a while, if they found a person who is intolerable of it and who calls their bluff from the beginning, and this person will say something like, I would never marry you, you're a serial cheater, go to psychotherapy and get help. That's a kind of rhetoric they will respond to. But once you're engaged or you're married, forget about it, because these people have the best of both worlds. You're taking care of them at home, and they're out and about making their conquests so they can fuel this terrible habit they have. And I call it a habit because it mimics a habit. It's not really an addiction, although it can become like a serial dater addiction. So what should you do? Okay, if you're the serial cheater or you're someone involved, ask yourself this question. Can the serial cheater admit it openly and honestly? That is a huge deal in trying to change it. Can they and will they be held accountable to change? Another huge deal. The people accountable, like who would be their accountable representatives, would be the therapist and the person that supposedly they're being accountable to, which is probably you if you're listening to this. So you would have to go to the therapy sessions or be able to communicate with the therapist to see if they're following through the way they said they would. Secondly, can they work with a therapist about their intention to cheat? And can they begin sensing the triggers that are emotionally urging them to go out and find another partner? This is very important, and it's therapeutic. The therapist can usually help them identify the triggers, what happens. Sometimes it's a fight with a person they're with that they care a lot about. Sometimes it's stress. Sometimes they're in a depressive format where they're feeding themselves lots of negative information, and it's all that negativity that makes them feel like they need a fix, or they need their vice, and so they find someone that they can go to bed with, and then they feel better. And lastly, are they willing to limit their freedom and set appropriate boundaries with a significant other in an effort to make it work? So basically, they love their freedom, right? We all do, but serial cheaters hide and they lie. And so are they willing to give that up, to live more transparently and set strong boundaries with you knowing where they are all the time, in an effort to keep this relationship they have with you? These are the three areas you really have to look at and be real about. And lastly, since it's all about the intention, you have very little control as their partner. It's going to be about what your partner, the serial cheater, wants and intends to do. And because you don't have control of that and insight into that, unless this person is going to become very transparent, leave them alone. They are not for you. They are hurtful, they ruin relationships, and they really don't think of cheating as being something hurtful or even emotional. It's a physical thing they just do, and you don't need that in your life.